All right, so it looks like I'm live, and I'm just gonna sit around for a minute and let people join in because I've got something I have to get off of my chest. Um, so yeah, let's wait for people to come in, come say hi. Obviously ask about what the what the title is all about, and we'll eventually get to it. Hey Ron, how's it going, bud? Good to see you. Hector, how you doing? Ryan Poe, glad everybody can be here. Cody, how's it going? This is going to be an oddball live stream here because I've got something on my chest that I have to get off. That's really freaking bothering me. Like so, I don't even have monetization turned on for this live stream because I'm not particularly worried about that. I just want to vent about something and get everybody's opinion about it. 100% Bow Hunter. I really do appreciate that, man. Thanks for being here. Alex Marino, how's it going, man? So, if everybody sees the title of the live stream, apparently I'm a liar. And so, what I want to try to show everybody is this. Give me just a second. Need to set up something. Um, Actually, wait a minute. Nope. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Gonna be doing a lot of troubleshooting here for a second. So ignore that, and then here we are again. Okay. Um, let's see here. So I need to do, I guess let's do this. Okay. So everybody hopefully should be aware of the J-Flower queue that I last did a review on, and that I'm giving that queue away when that video reaches 25,000 views. I was going to say subscribers. When that video gets 25,000 views. There we go. There's that. And then let me add this. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm doing like a bunch of stuff like on the fly. Okay. So, what I wanted to talk about today is what I posted on Reddit and what I posted on Facebook. But Facebook is fine because it's not like well, I'm trying to get that product review video to have more views. So that way I can reach the milestone. So that way I can actually select a winner and be able to give it away. Because we're currently on 3 weeks right now, and I think that video only has about 7.7K views, I think. So I'm gonna move this over here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to switch to this. So we can see that, where is it? Right here. This is the last J-Flower queue that I'm giving away, which I have, actually, right here. Let me switch back to this for a second. Because I have the queue right here whenever the video reaches 25,000 views, because that's what I asked for. Because the last one that I asked for 30,000 views, it didn't make it, but I still ended up giving the queue away. So in what I decided to do was to make a video that I can post on Facebook and Reddit, and I was debating on whether or not if I was going to make a YouTube version of it. And what I had done was, I mean, here's the video. Like, let me play the video for y'all. So we'll go full screen. This is the video that I posted on Reddit. All it is me breaking and running a rack. And I think I need to do this. So hopefully y'all can hear it. Let me know if y'all can hear the video when it comes on when I break. Because in this video I'm using the J-Flower Q. And all I'm doing in this video is breaking and running a 9-ball rack, and then later on I'm going to break and run a 10-ball rack. And of course I've got the cue ball diagram up there to show y'all where I'm hitting at on the cue ball. You don't even hear me talk, nothing, right? This is just merely showing that the cue is usable, right? You can use the cue. It works. It serves its purpose. And so on the video that I posted to Reddit and the video that I posted to Facebook, there's basically a comment on the video saying that I'm giving this cue away in this video, and if you want a chance to win the cue, then I need you to go watch the product review video that I did, and then just follow the instructions on it. Well, I've gotten no backlash from Facebook on it, but man, did I receive a huge backlash on Reddit. And the only reason why I wanted to talk about this, at least on a live stream, on an unmonetized live stream no less, is because my character is being judged on this. And usually I don't get a rise out of things that happen on the internet, but I just don't know why I'm getting a rise out of this one. Yeah, cue ball control, sometimes following instructions. I'm expecting a lot. I mean, not if you want something for free, right? I don't think I'm asking too much, but nonetheless, what I'm gonna do now is minimize this and pause it. And the first thing I want to show y'all is this comment here. Let me know if y'all can at least legibly see what's on the screen. I'll go ahead and try to increase the font size. Is the topmost comment on my post in Reddit is asking to ban J-Flower spam from the billiard subreddit because they're obviously paying YouTubers to promote their products. Would y'all believe me if I told you that I'm not paid to promote J-Flower products? Let's start there. Yeah, and Hector, I'm not really that worried about it, but just the fact that my character is being judged by some people, I want to just understand where people can draw these types of conclusions. And I already know the answer, but this is just, I'm venting, right? I have to get this off of my chest. And the thing about this guy saying that I'm being paid, even though I defend myself in this post here, because here's a mod that basically says, like, there's nothing wrong with what I've done because I'm not just promoting myself or doing this, that, or the other or whatever. So, like, a mod has already cleared my post. But then later on, well, here was my answer to that my, like, how is my post supposed to be considered spam when you're watching me break and run a 9-ball rack and break and run a 10-ball rack with a cue that I'm giving away, right? And so my comparison to that is in a previous post that I did on Facebook, Reddit, and YouTube was when I broke and ran a 9-ball rack with my Predator BK3 and my Predator Tuxedo cue while wearing a GoPro. But for some reason, those 3 different products aren't considered spam because you don't hear me talk in that video, just like you don't hear me talk in this video. You get to hear me breathe or whatever. I had the sniffles while I was doing this. And then I have to go on and try to explain to some Joe Blow that I don't even have to explain myself to that I'm not a paid promoter. I'm a promoter, but I'm not a paid promoter. Is that hard to believe that I'm not a paid promoter? Like, would y'all find that really, really hard to believe? And actually, you know what? There's someone in my chat that I want to give a big shout out to, and that's the Billiard Corner. When are you coming back, dude? I haven't seen content from you in a long time. Like, and I miss your content because you were basically just doing product reviews on stuff just like I was. And then of course my boy Share Varies in the house. How's it going, man? So like the idea that I'm giving away a product, and then look at this next comment. So you're paying full price for the cues you're giving away, and they just happen to give you a discount code to share with your viewers. It sure looks like you're promoting the brand. I mean, I am promoting the brand. We're not I'm not gonna argue that, right? But where's the part about like that I'm doing something wrong, whether I'm paid for it or whether I'm not paid for it? Because here's the interesting part, and this is why if y'all watched any of my reviews, you'll understand why I did it the way that I did it. Because what did I do in my reviews? I told you what the cue was. I told you what it was made of. I told you how much it weighed, both components, both the butt and the shaft. Told you the diameter of the shaft. Told you what tip came on it. Hit a couple of balls with it so that way you can hear what it sounds like, even though you can't feel what it sounds like, because only I could do that. And that's it. You didn't hear me say anything about how this cue is so amazing that it beats this cue or it beats that cue. And if you actually go through the comment section of those videos, you see a lot of comments where people are asking me like, well, how does it compare to this or how does it compare to that? And my answer was, I'm doing a product review. I'm not doing a comparison review, right? So all I want to do in the product review is give you enough information about the product, and you can decide whether or not if you want to make an informed decision on whether or not you want to buy it, right? So here I am. All I'm doing is just sitting there like defending myself on everything, and then people are just wondering. So they just randomly sent you a message on YouTube, offered you a discount code to promote, and you received nothing. Again, for someone like myself, maybe for somebody else, because I'm not speaking for anybody else. I'm just speaking for myself. Is that hard to believe? Anybody that knows me and follows me knows that I'm a successful software developer. And it's hard for me to talk about this type of subject because it sounds like I'm boasting, and I don't want to sound like I'm boasting. I'm a well-off individual. I don't have to get paid to do this stuff. And the fact that I'm monetized on YouTube, that's just extra income. AAA Skeet, you're wanting to know what my Fargo rating is? Last time I checked, it was a 642. And I don't know if it's gone up or down since then. Like I just want to try to understand, like, is it just that hard to believe that I'm actually somebody that does something for free, and on top of that, people that watch and support me get to benefit from it as well? Because it gets to a point to where people in this subreddit basically start calling me a liar, like I'm lying, and that's the part that really basically ticked me off the most. And sorry that I'm like looking over here because this is where my chat window's at instead of just staring at the camera like this. So I'm trying to read the chat window so I can respond to people as well as do all of my venting. Because like I said, this video here is not even monetized, or this stream is not going to be monetized. And of course, after I cut the stream off, I don't even know if I'm gonna leave it up. Like I'm really here to just vent stuff out. Yeah, Retro Magic says the problem is that I went on Reddit. I mean, you're not wrong there, right? But the idea is that Reddit has a subreddit that has a lot of different people, and I just figured that's just another platform that I thought was appropriate for me to reach out to in order to just be able to see what type of other types of followings that I can do, because I'm not a social media person. Like, the idea that I have a YouTube channel, I have a Facebook channel, and it's like I don't want to do Instagram, I don't want to do Twitter, I don't want to do Tumblr or Rumble, or like I don't want to have like all these like different freaking social media accounts to try to be able to promote my stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just don't want to do that. But I figured Reddit, since it has a dedicated subreddit specifically for billiards, I figured that's just something that maybe I could benefit from. But you're not wrong. Like I already have like was warned about like the people on Reddit are ruthless and everything else, and I've already seen it. But to me it's no different than the trolling and stuff that I've gotten that I've just gotten just from being Lil Chris, just from posting videos, like you're not a Shane Van Boning, so why should we listen to you? Like that kind of garbage. Um, and like I think one of the simplest parts was like one argument that I tried to refute was this guy here trying to quote one of the guidelines of self promotion about not using sock puppets, that it's for promotions and stuff because it's tacky and cheap, and to be authentic and honest. And so my response to that was, what's not authentic and honest when I state what the cue is worth, how much it weighs, what all that other kind of stuff. And I understand what this person's trying to do with that rule, but I would wonder if he would use that rule against me if I was giving away a Predator Air Rush or a Predator cue or a name brand that these commenters like actually like or would want or anything like that. And the funny part is that when you go, if you were to go through all of these, like you're not going to see any one of my questions get refuted. None of my questions on if it were this or if it was that, would you treat it the same way that you're treating this just because it's J Flower Q? And here's the best part. Like where is it at right here? So you're not the only one doing it because there are other people that are promoting J Flower Qs, just like there are other people that promote Predator Qs, just like there are people that promote McDermott's or Mez Qs or whatever. Like they're all out there. And so this guy thinks it's pretty strange for a brand that he's never heard of in real life, right? So here's my refute. Because this guy has never heard of this, there must be something wrong. Like he's the absolute authority of what is real and what's not real. And then look at this stuff. Like my replies get downvoted. And I don't care about that. That doesn't bother me one bit. And then of course I get to the point where people will defend it and stuff because again in this video here all you see is me breaking and running, and the comment that they're basically getting ticked off about is this comment right here saying, hey, I'm giving this queue away. If you want a chance to win the queue, go check out the product review and just follow the instructions. That's it. Right? But then it gets worse where like I gotta find the yeah, this guy right. I need to come clean and give an honest answer. So just by saying honest answer, where have I ever been dishonest in any of my content? Right? Did I pay for the J Flower Q with my own money or did I get it for free in exchange for a review? Did they send me a list of what types of content they wanted to see? Even if I'm not keeping it, I'm using it to get clicks and subs and expect more free stuff from them in the future. Like he knows what I plan on doing with my content. Right? Honest reviewers disclose this thing up front. So cool. Let me take his statement, right? Honest reviewers disclose this thing up front. So, hey guys, I didn't pay for I paid for the cues with my own money. So now all of a sudden I'm honest, right? Like that's how this works, right? Just because I'm sitting on a video on camera saying, you know what, I completely paid for this with all my money and everything else, and I'm giving you a complete and honest review. So now you have to believe me just because I said that, right? And so that's why I'm saying that my response to all of this is whether I paid for it or not, what changes the fact that it has a carbon fiber shaft? What changes the fact that it comes with a Mori medium tip? Like where does whether I paid for something or not paid for something change what I presented? Now, I would be in full agreement with a lot of these things if I were to come out and say J Flower Qs are better than McDermott's or J Flower Qs are better than this. But I don't do that. Y'all know I don't do that. And you actually specifically hear me say that when it comes to what queue would I recommend, my answer is the one that you want, right? Because Charivari, for example, he uses a Mez queue. Y'all know that I primarily use Predator queues. I can tell you a number of people in my chat right now that use whatever queue that they want to use. Like, what difference does it freaking matter? Like, and it just gets so bad that no matter what is put in here, and all I try to do is attack the arguments, and none of my counter arguments are refuted. It's just one thing after another, after another, after another. And so, like, here's even one of my boys defending me here, saying what a position to tank, thinking someone owes you anything. Like I owe anybody like some sort of response here. Steve Cuff, you like to use a McDermott? Fan freaking tastic, right? Does the fact that I use Predator make it better? No, of course it doesn't. I mean, Jay Connell, you use Predator as well. Fan freaking tastic. Like, oh my gosh, like this is like I wish I could understand like why I'm actually here and doing this live stream. Like, how am I actually bothered this freaking much about it? Like, I just don't know. I don't know. Maybe like I'll come to like some sudden realization, other than to say like when I'm done venting, maybe I'll just feel better. Alex Marino, we got a player's queue. Elad Harath, we got Viking. I have a Viking queue in my garage. You can actually see some of my Viking queues in some of my old APA matches and in some of my YouTube videos. It's just Seth White. We got a Jacoby. You know what? Where is it at? Hang on a second. Look at this. I've got a Jacoby Mag queue. Now, what I planned on doing with this, because this is something I won in a raffle a long time ago. I was eventually planning on trying to do like a challenge video where like the first person that successfully completes my challenge would win this, or I could do a product review on it because it's still brand new. I mean, it's sitting in the plastic. I haven't even chalked it, right? And give a product review just like how I did with the J-Flower queues. What do y'all think this looks like? And oh, by the way, it's a jump break one. Would it matter if I paid for this if I'm giving it away? If I paid for this with my own money, or if I told you what I thought about the queue, or would it matter that Predator did or did not pay me to do this? Like, would that freaking matter? Like that's really what I would want to know. Especially with the way that I present the product reviews themselves. Stephen Burns, I also have a Sean. The Sean that I have, the STL17, was actually the queue that I started my YouTube channel with, and then I eventually changed it over to my Viking queues for a little bit, and then now it's my Predator queues. And like you can see in most of my most recent videos that I have, it's my Predator Tuxedo queue, because when the Tuxedo queue came out, I just had to buy it. Like I just absolutely fell in love with it. I just don't use it out in public. I just use it in my YouTube videos because I use the Predator Black 4.5 in my YouTube videos, or no, in my actual like tournament matches and gameplay. Right. So like I really want to know honest opinions here. I don't want y'all to defend me or anything, like, because that's hopefully y'all should know that that's not what I'm about. I want to know, like, does it really matter to y'all how, where, why I do what I do? And then my boy, Mr. Edit One, what's going on? You're a liar as well. Like, does any of this really freaking matter? Because like it's one of those things now. Like nobody has to worry about like the bad apple isn't gonna spoil the bunch. Like I just really wish I understood the jealousy of people and where they come off at saying what they say. Now, of course, like I said, I already knew the answer, but like for some freaking reason, this actually bothered me so much that I had to just I had to just come on air and do this. And I almost feel like because I've warned plenty of people about this that ask me about like, well, when I post on if I post something on YouTube, what do I do about a troll? Like, well, you just ignore them. Well, like I'm not ignoring this one, right? I'm giving in to it and possibly giving them what they want, which means they've won. When I could have just stayed quiet about it and no one would ever really no one would ever really know about it. And Terry Thomas, that's pretty much what I'm doing here. It's something that is just going to roll off of my shoulders, and not really and I'm not really going to worry about it after this. Um, Right, and so like probably one of the last ones that I want to talk about, Mr. Edit One, you'll actually enjoy this one because this is one of your so-called trolling buddies that you've encountered on multiple occasions. Because I've got another redditor that's basically defending me, saying like in order to see a promo code, which is what a lot of people are basically harping on, you had to look at my video, you had to see my comment that's basically pushed all the way down to at the bottom of the thread now, and then you have to watch a video, and at the end of the video, you hear about a promo code that's expired, a promo code that you can't even use. But you also hear about that if you like the video, comment on the video, and then subscribe to the YouTube channel, you can win a free Q, right? But this guy is claiming that I'm posting a discount code from the distributor in the same manner as somebody else. So can it get more obvious? And then when he's called out for the discount code multiple times, he refused to even address the issue when he's defending himself. He instead saying that I'm lying, that I wasn't compensated. And I'm not compensated. I mean that's just where it ends. Like I'm not. So it's just really really interesting to me. Gloria, I see you in the chat, sweetie, and that was the thing. Is just like I just had a post go wrong that actually some of the comments actually actually got to me when normally it wouldn't bother me like one bit. It would not bother me one bit, but for some reason this one finally did, and I just wanted to come on stream and just vent about it because apparently, according to people that don't even know who the hell I am, I'm a liar, right? Because they find it so hard to believe that I am not getting paid to promote a product, but I'm also giving the product away for free. Like I can have some understanding. Like I can have some understanding how that's kind of hard to believe. Like who does something for free, right? Like that's almost something very hard to believe. Well, when you think about it, if I make a YouTube video about it and it's a monetized YouTube video well then I'll get some form of payment through the YouTube video, right? But here's the kicker of it. When I give the product away, guess who has to pay for the shipping cost? Me. Right? So like that's why I ask for those product reviews to hit like a certain view count. So that way maybe I make a profit because if I have to fortunately like the last queue that I shipped to I think it was North Carolina, like it was somewhere in the United States. So like the shipping cost like wasn't that bad. But if anybody has seen the Queued Up Network's or not the VG10, it was the Battle of the Sexes online tournament they did, and I had like this big giant package giveaway as part of the playoffs to that one. And if y'all remember, like someone made a fake Facebook profile posing to be me and informed a bunch of people that they had won the prize and they had to give up like their banking information and all this other kind of crap. Well, I had to send all that stuff to Canada. Like that was the winner. and that was super freaking expensive just to get a bunch of stuff shipped across the border in the same continent, but across the border, right? So I don't think it's unreasonable that if I'm asking for a video to reach a certain view count, so that way there's a little bit of like YouTube ad revenue compensation to help me pay for the damn shipping cost. Like, I don't think that's asking for too much, considering that one lucky person has the opportunity to win something for free. Like, am I wrong for thinking that? Like, holy cow! But that's what this whole rant was about. But what it did do though is it kills the idea that I will ever promote a giveaway on Reddit again. I'll still post my content to Reddit just so that way people that aren't on YouTube or that aren't on Facebook or whatever, can still have access to my stuff. But it's just like, well, in the case of, one bad apple spoils a bunch, like this pretty much did it. And I was like, you're to some people it bothers them so much that I was actually going to give something away for free, but they have to know, like, well, did I pay for it or did I not pay for it, or now I'm because I'm being dishonest if I paid for it. And I was like, well, I mean, okay, I didn't pay for it. I'm not sponsored by J Flowers. I don't actively use their stuff. Everybody knows that I shoot with Predator. Like, where's the dishonesty part of it? Like, that's what all of this boils down to. But I think my rant's over, so I'm actually gonna try to go through some of the chat that I see here. Jay Connell, you have the Viking Crush break queue. How does that feel? Because like I have my jump break queue that I have from Viking is the old, I think it's the VM 23, and I had it converted to a jump break so that way it breaks into three pieces. And then it has a phenolic tip on it and everything else, but it obviously isn't the actual breaking queue that's made by Viking. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, so like thanks everybody for being here and just listening to me listen to me vent. Cody Tarantino, you follow me on Reddit as well, and so like you would be someone that I would want the opinion on as well, and you know what, guys and gals, because I have both. Let me do this. I am going to put in the chat the Reddit link. Actually, well, not that far back. Let's go here. Y'all are free to go look at this and don't attack anybody. I don't ever I don't ever want to promote that. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and say like, go defend me. Like, no, go read this stuff. And just read what I consider to be just the unreasonableness. And if you look at any of my replies, you'll see how I attack their argument with my own counter argument, but my counter argument is never countered back. Therefore, it's not even a dialogue. It's just people just trying to sit on their high horse and be like, look at me sitting behind a keyboard doing whatever it is that they want to do. Whatever. Like, it's like, I don't know what to expect. Spurs 2K20 just missed a big rant from me about how some comments on a Reddit post that I did actually got to me, and I'm not easily rattled when it comes to comments on the internet. And so the Reddit link that I just posted, which matter of fact, I guess I need to pin it so that way it doesn't. I'll pin it to the top so that way it doesn't get lost in the live chat. And the comments actually bothered me enough that I just wanted to come on a live stream and just start venting, so people can hear me vent, and then hopefully maybe I'll just feel better about myself, because I'm certainly not venting so I can ask for I'm I'm not doing this because I want justification. Like that's the last thing that I'm looking for, because I do what I do because I want to do what I do. I don't need justification as to why I do what I do. If that makes sense. Greg's so lucky. I don't know if they are watching or not, and I really could care less if they are. So the fact that Reddit moderator basically said, like, there's nothing to see here. It's if you don't like the post, downvote the post and move on, right? And that's fine. And the funny part is that currently that post has 30 upvotes. The post itself has 30 upvotes. Like, I don't know what else to say beyond that. But it looks like it has a new comment, so I'm curious as to who wrote the next comment. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, okay. So let me do this, because the guy responded. One of the guys that basically said, "I need to come clean." Um, when I basically said that, I'm not getting paid to do this. So he replies, "I appreciate your content and I hope you continue posting it. You're a good player and make good videos. I asked for J Flowers to be banned, not you. The multiple low quality posts were what ticked him off, and not any one of my single videos." So he's literally admitting somebody else triggers him. So he wants to take it out on my post. Like, holy cow. Like, what else? What else could go wrong about this? Like, seriously. I'm sure it's hard to make a living in this business. I don't fault you. I just think a company no one would pay attention to outside of promoted content doesn't deserve our attention. I'm more sensitive to this kind of thing lately because there are a similar case where a crappy motorcycle helmet. Okay, so now we're comparing apples and oranges here, because now we want to talk about motorcycles versus pool products. Like, holy freaking cow! Like, I'm done. Like, I'm literally done. I'm literally done. This guy basically starts a shitstorm on my post because somebody else triggers him. Like, wow. Okay. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Crush Vitzer, I hope I pronounced that right. Would you ever consider giving lessons to beginning players? Our Masonic Lodge has 2 tables, pockets of and straight billiards. It'd be neat to host a breakfast, lunch, or dinner with a professional player. Well, first of all, I'm not a professional player, so if you are referring to me as a professional player, I do take that as a compliment, and thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Um, would I consider giving lessons to beginners? One-on-one lessons, no, unfortunately not, because I just don't have the time to do that. I mean, like I said, anybody that actively does follow me knows that my profession is a software developer, and that's really what eats up the majority of my time. It's my 9 to 5 job. YouTube is just my hobby. The videos that I make, everybody or a lot of people know that I put hours into making those videos, and some of those videos are only like 10 or 15 minutes long, but it takes me hours to actually make those videos because I'm such a perfectionist when I make those videos. I don't slur my words. I don't use word fillers like and everything else. And if but here I am in a live stream, and you're seeing all the non-professionalism. You're seeing basically just the real me, because I will slur, I will use fillers every now and again. But when it comes to recorded content, my perfectionism just plays into that, to where it's like I want to make sure that every word in my sentence is heard clearly. Every syllable in a word is pronounced correctly, and blah blah. So the message is clear and concise, and that is what has allowed my content to be as popular as it's become. Because I certainly don't ever try to boast about myself. about it, and I take the feedback that I'm given to equate to how I must do things well or whatever. I just don't say like I do things well, like here I am. Like no, like you guys tell me how good of a job I do this stuff, and I take that to heart, and that's how I try to represent it. Vinay Pi, you're asking, do I post on AZ Billiards? You really wanted to like it as a place to discuss pool. Reddit to seem better in the past. Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't post on AZ Billiards either. I have seen that some of my content has made its way over to AZ Billiards with roughly the same type of acceptance. It's like, it's almost like a 50-50 kind of thing. People want to troll it, and people want to say like that, and other people want to compliment it and say that it's good. A lot of it has to deal with, it's just I'm not a professional, right? I'm not a Sky Woodward, I'm not a Shane Van Boning or anything like so. So who am I to listen to, right? And I already knew that going into making YouTube videos that would be the basic resistance that I would be put up against. That if I haven't won a major title or anything, why should you listen to me? And I mean that's a valid position to take, but my only counter argument to that is if I tell you to hit the cue ball below center hard enough so that way the backspin remains on the cue ball when it hits an object ball, the cue ball is going to come back. Do I have to be a professional to tell you that? Or do I have to be a professional to tell you that if you put left spin on the cue ball and you hit an object ball, it will throw right spin onto the cue ball, which can actually change the outbound angle of a bank shot? Like, do I have to be a professional to tell you that? Like those would always be the counter arguments that I would put up against people that basically do all of that, and they can never really refute any of those arguments, and so that's how I know it just ends up being trolling. And like those kind of comments, I basically just dismiss, and just leave it alone. But like I said, just for some particular reason, this Reddit post finally got me. I can finally say I got triggered by the internet when normally I don't. Normally I don't. Ron Leaf, you want to know if I would be a VNEA master? Well, what qualifies a VNEA master? I've never played in VNEA. I play APA and I play BCA, and then I do tournaments and stuff like that, and I just leave it at that. Like I said, I do what I can with pool and YouTube when I have time, because now that I have YouTube, I always have to struggle with, do I want to go play in a pool tournament on the weekend? Because if I do, then I'm not making YouTube content. And so if I don't make YouTube content on a regular basis, then my stuff will eventually start getting lost from the algorithm, and you won't be able to see it as often. So it's like I try to find this really nice balance of making sure that I stay active in pool. Like, I played in the Texas State Open. I played in a Texas BCA State event. I just got back from Las Vegas for the APA Nationals team event, which I got to eventually still make a video about that because I got a bunch of pictures. My teammates have got a bunch of pictures and stuff, and I got little video clips of me walking through the casinos, and so you get to see all the slot machines and people gambling and stuff. And then I actually do have a couple of matches recorded because I played in some of the mini tournaments, and I have some of them recorded, not all of them, because my dumb self didn't bring a battery pack to be able to keep my phone charged, so that way I can continuously record all the matches that I had. Um, so I got to eventually like do like the little analysis review videos on those mini matches, so you can see like what was I thinking, how did what was my fault as to why I lost, or what did I do well as to why I won, like all kinds of different stuff. But um, work, because like if when I do this, like this is where my work computer's at. Here's my personal computer, and when I do my actual job, it's right over here. Like this has got me so swamped to where like I've literally have been putting in like 12-hour days for like before I went to Vegas and even after I came back from Vegas. So if I'm sitting in front of a computer for 12 hours, what makes you think I want to go record some clips and sit in front of a computer for another 8 hours or so doing editing? Like it's very, 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 very mentally fatiguing. It's not physically fatiguing because I feel like I can do that all day long, but like my brain is just so fried at the end of the day. So let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Ron Leaf, you asked the question about, so has there been a follow? I don't know if you're still here. USAPL. I think that's just another version of BCA because I think we have USAPL in the Central Texas area, which I think as part of being part of the BCA league at one point in my hometown, I actually did play USAPL as well. So I think it's like it's what is it? It's like CSI underneath CSI is like BCA and USAPL and like I don't exactly know what the I don't exactly know what the umbrella is on how to do all that. Let's see. Bang Time Pool, how's it going, man? You just joined in at the at the very beginning of a rant that I did. You'd have to go like rewind and watch because I honestly don't know if I'm gonna leave this live stream up. I basically did this live stream so I can just do a rant. And then because like I said, the live stream isn't even monetized because like literally I just like let me come up here and just talk to my peeps and and see what everybody thinks. Steve Cuff, I have heard of TAP, but I don't know where in the Central Texas area, a TAP league exists. I know we have APA, we have BCA, and I also know that we have Napa. But I don't play in Napa. I only play in APA and BCA, and like I said, and then from time to time I do a tournament here and there. All right. How long have I been live streaming? 46 minutes. You know what? I'm going to close this Reddit post because I'm tired of looking at it. And what I would like to do now is just talk to everybody for the next 15 minutes, and then probably go ahead and just close the live stream. Like I said, I appreciate everybody for being here and just listening to me vent. Like I said, you can call me a whiny person, or if you will, or if you happen to agree, you happen to agree. My whole purpose of this is not to get justification. I mean, I showed you what was bothering me, and you get to hear my actual position of like, how can you take this stance when you don't know this? And since you don't know this, and I give it to you, you still take the same stance because now you want to call me a liar, and you don't even know me. Like that's really what this all was boiling down to. And then finally, you saw the last one where it's like, well, it was nothing against you, it was somebody else that triggered me, but I'm gonna take it out on your post. Like, oh, man, freaking tastic, guy. Like you really hit a home run with that one. Let's see here. John, dude, I actually haven't seen you around in a while, man. Like, how you doing? You're asking me if I'm gonna go to Derby in January. I've been asked. My old coach Demetrius Gelatis, when I went to Minnesota to take his boot camp, he asked me if I want to go to Derby in January. I mean, I haven't dismissed it, but I also haven't like I've never really been one to like again, how do I put this? I've never been the type of person that basically wants to travel a long ways to a tournament that I personally feel, you can call this a confidence issue too, that I personally feel that I just do not stand a good chance at um for an experience. Right? So going to Derby City, which is going to be in another state, which means I have to pay for a plane ticket, I have to pay for a hotel and everything else to potentially go to and out, right? So that could be a confidence issue. I'm not going to disagree with that, but it could also be a reality kind of thing versus like the Texas State Open is here in my own backyard. I only have to drive a couple of hours to get to that, and I have family that lives in the area, so therefore I don't have to pay for an hotel. So I can go pay a high dollar entry fee to go play in that tournament where there's a bunch of professionals and everything else, just to see where I'm at, just to see how I can measure up. And I actually have 3 matches from the Texas State Open that I just previously played. But I haven't had time to sit down and maybe do a live stream and review them with everybody. But I do try to be able to test my limits and see what I can do because like I remember there was a saying that I once caught on Facebook many, 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 many years ago. And the picture basically says this. if you're the best player in your pool hall, then you're in the wrong pool hall, right? And so like I happen to agree with that statement, and that is not me saying that I'm the best in my pool hall. I am not taking that stance, but I am one of the top players in my immediate local area. I'm up there. So I try to branch out and see where I'm at. So like when I drive like an hour or 2 hours away from my local area, yeah, I'm not the top dog or anywhere near the top anymore. I'm like somewhere below the midpoint. Like if you were to just have this long list, like I'm like somewhere below 50%, right? So after taking time to practice and do what I can, then that's why I try to branch out and go see where I'm at. See, can I compete a little bit? And with the Fargo rating being out there, I'm kind of using that as a point of measurement as well. Because I did make a post a while back, since I'm currently a 642, and I'm not actively trying to increase my Fargo rating. I guess you could say I'm passively doing it. Like, because if something's in my own backyard, then I'm gonna go give it a try, and if it happens to raise my Fargo rating, then so be it. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But I did say in an old post on my YouTube community wall that if I get to 650 passively, then I will actively try to get to 700 and like really, really try to make an effort in just playing in more tournaments and just being out there a little bit more often. But again, if my job has a calling for me to do something, that always has to take a priority. Always has to take a priority for me. Shorty Dancer, you'd love to hear about MN's boot camp with Demetrius. I have an old live stream with him. Let me find it. Where I basically like we did like a 2 hour live stream where I was basically interviewing him. We were kind of discussing some of the things that we were going over while I was there. And then we actually on New Year's Eve we did an exhibition match, and I live streamed that. And anybody that watched that live stream saw me get my butt handed to me from him. But let me here. I will tag you in this one, Shorty Dancer. Here is the live stream to where you get to hear like my thoughts and Demetrius's thoughts, and we talk and we answer a bunch of people's questions and break stuff down. And you kind of get the idea of what he does at his boot camp. He mentions how much it costs to take his boot camp and whatnot. So like check out that live stream. It's long, but like if you want to know more information about it, like it's all there. All right, so if you have to skip around, I mean, by all means, skip around. Let's see here. Wow, there's really 60 plus people in here. Like y'all are amazing, like absolutely amazing. There's just no other way to put it. Well, Chris, have a good night, bud. Thanks for being here. I really do appreciate it. Bot Caveman, you just want to know about the boot camp? I mean, Demetrius welcomes you to his home because you have to travel to him, obviously, right? He lives in Minnesota, but he puts you in his home for 3 days, and you train for 3 days, 10 to 12 hours. Like what I obviously can't give you trade secrets, right? So you're not gonna get that from me. But I think what I can share is like first he had me play a couple of racks of just to see. He wanted to see my form. He wanted to see how I approach the table and everything else. Because while I'm doing all of that, he's of course observing me, much like how I do my coaching lesson videos that I've done, where I'm watching a player and I'm like, and I'll either point out like here's a better pattern that I think you could have done, or I point out bad habits that are in their form. Like he's doing all of that for me, and then he's got his baseline blueprint boot camp procedure with a little bit of molding and melding of like here's what I need to do for this person to help improve their game. And like literally it's like like from when you wake up, you go into his basement where his 9 foot diamond table is, and you just play, or drill, play, drill. Like it's just nonstop. And I mean, if I was a 620, 614, 620 before I went to his boot camp, and now after his boot camp, I'm a 642. I cannot say that I did that on my own, right? Like what he was able to show me, even a player like myself that has been playing the game for 20 plus years, there were things that he was still able to show me that literally I say to this day, like, how did I not know this? I've been playing this game for this freaking long and I didn't know something as simple as what he showed me. And if any of y'all know me, you also know how analytical I am about things. Like if you're gonna say something to me, like what's your analysis? What's your evidence? What's your proof? What's your statistic on like why you do what the way you do? And we have those conversations. So like when I say like I'm going to do A, B, and C, and he's like, well, why not try X, Y, and Z? Because he'll give me the pros and cons of my A, B, C, and give me the pros and cons of his X, Y, Z. And when you look at the percentages, his is higher. And his thought process was just something that like never occurred to me. And it just like literally like the light bulb goes off like holy cow, like are you serious? And then of course when I came back from the boot camp, it was a matter of figuring out where to incorporate things that he taught me into my own game, because there were times I can say like during the boot camp where I would try to like hardcore use everything that he was teaching me, and then on certain shots he would go, well, I would have just on that shot I would have just played it this way, which was my first instinctive way of doing it. So I was like, oh, I gotta find this balance where like I know how to play using the tools that I have. I just need to figure out how to incorporate his tools on top of that. And to this day, I still struggle with it. Like, it's just like, do I play it this way or do I play it this way? And then, of course, experience teaches you all of that, right? So, no, it's like, no matter what you learn off of my content, right? Because, like, I give you the information. Now, when you go onto the table and actually try to implement it and everything else, and then try to figure out like you know how to do something a certain way, and then you go and watch my video that shows you something about whatever it is that you're working on that you've never seen before, you're like, wait a minute, does this make it easier, does it make it harder, whatever, blah blah blah, and you just have to figure out how to use it. And that's what Demetrius was able to do for me. Hey, Shorty Dancer, thanks for stopping by, I really do appreciate it. Vinay Pai, or Pay, I hope I'm saying that right. You're curious to know what aspects of my own game am I currently working on these days. Um, it's always a little bit of everything. Like everything I do on the table is backed with a system, right? So it's like if I'm gonna do a bank shot, you're gonna see me do some sort of measurement with the two videos that I've done on banking, and or because I've practiced the system so much that I can actually visualize all the measurements onto the tables using just my eyes. Is it 100% accurate? No, of course not. Just like aiming is 100% accurate, because if it was 100% accurate, I'd be a freaking pro, right? So, but to this day, what I do know is the weakest part of my game is kicking. Right? I know how to measure out a one rail kick. I know how to measure out a two rail kick. I know how to measure out a three rail kick. Et cetera, et cetera. Right? So it's pay, not pi. Okay, so three. I understood what you're saying when you say 3.142. So it's pronounced. I'm assuming it's pronounced pay, not pi. So hopefully I got that part right. But yeah, so like I said, kicking is still the hardest thing for me, because it's very easy to kick to hit, right? But for me and it's also sometimes easy to kick to make. But the part that I still struggle with is kicking to kick safe. Knowing that I'm going to kick a certain way to where the cue ball is going to glance off of the object ball because I need it to glance off of the object ball, and then my cue ball is still going to be safe. Right? That's in my opinion, that is still the weakest component in my game. Y'all see me play the Ghost. You know that I have high percentages of usually doing some break and run outs, especially if I take ball in hand. That's why most of the time when I do play the Ghost, sometimes I try to break in such a way to where I don't have to take ball in hand. And I try to break in such a way to where I'm breaking in competition, not because I'm breaking against the ghost. Because if I'm breaking against, simply put, if you're breaking against the ghost, all you want to do is just pop the rack to where the ball's just spread open, take your ball in hand, and run the table, right? Well, that's not what you do in competition. In competition, you have to break, make a ball, get position on the one ball, or get position on your first object ball if you're playing 8-ball, and then map out a path to try to be able to run the table. That's how I also practice. Like when I'm playing against the ghost, like that's how I really, really want to practice. I want to break, try to consistently make target balls. Like in a 9-ball rack, it's the wing ball if we're using a template rack. If we're not using a template rack, then I am trying to pocket the one ball into the side pocket because the head ball is always the most controllable ball out of a rack. If it's a 10-ball rack, the balls that are in the second row track towards the side pockets. The balls that are in the corner go 4 rails and head towards the corner pockets if you're using a template rack. If you're not using a template rack, it's a little bit more random. Right, so those are all kinds of things that I still work on to this day. Scambodia, you want to know if I still have a discount code? I do not. They are expired. So that's that. I have other J-Flower products, but I've also shown that I've got non-J-Flower products like the Predator BK Jump Break Rush. I have a Jacoby Mag Custom Cue. I have Poison Jump Break Cues. I actually gave away a Poison Jump Break Cue when I did a Spot Shot One Pocket Challenge. All right, so I have all these other products that I can either give away, raffle, give away through a product review video, give away through a challenge, or what? It's like I don't use all this stuff. Like what all this stuff is doing is just taking up space in my house, right? But it's not like I'm just gonna just like go out in public and say like here, I want to try to get something out of them, but I don't want to just sell them. I hope that makes sense. Like it's a I don't know, call it a trade of service, if you will. It's like, watch my YouTube videos and you might win a free cue. Like, I don't know. You're wanting to know when the next giveaway is. Well, the next giveaway currently is the J-Flower cue. This is the JF. How about if I get it out of the plastic so you can see it better? Is this one. It's the JF10 11 WF playing cue. $300 on their website. Like I said, I don't have a discount code anymore, so you can't get it for you're not able to get it for $270 because it would be a 10% discount code. But I have a product review video on this one, but it's currently sitting at like 7.7 thousand views, and I requested that I get that video up to 25,000 views before I select the winner. To be able to win the cue, because in order to have a chance at winning it, obviously watch the video because it helps increase the view count. Like the video because it helps the algorithm push it out to more people, so that way more people can view it, and that obviously increases the view count. Leave a comment on the video because I'm going to randomly select a comment from that video, and then of course subscribe to the channel, right? And the Reddit post that basically says that I'm trying to use this for clicks and subs and everything else, and it's like, well, if I'm gonna give something away, doesn't it seem to make sense that I should give something away to someone that actually follows me and not a stranger? So like, yeah, asking you to subscribe to me because you're gonna actively follow me, you can win something for free. And here's the kicker. I know that there's no way in the world that I can track that. You know what? I'm gonna subscribe to him. I'm gonna comment, and if he happens to choose me as the winner, I'm gonna unsubscribe after that. Like I know that's a thing, but if I got your subscription for that one brief moment, fine, cool. Then maybe I'll get it again in another video or in another giveaway. Like I already know this is a possibility. But to try to accuse me that I'm using these product giveaways to be able to gain views and stuff, when I have hundreds, I have over 100 videos before I even did these product reviews that have built the following that I have. But now, all of a sudden, I'm being dishonest because I either will or will not disclose did I pay for these things or not. But I'm giving them away, and I'm just using them for clickbait. Like, seriously? Give me a freaking break. Yeah, kick shot pool gear isn't clicks and subs and likes the whole point of YouTube. I mean, I don't know. Like maybe it's not, or maybe I'm missing something. I have no idea. But yeah, so the reason why I did that video and I posted it on Reddit and I posted it on Facebook is because like I'm learning that for we'll use Facebook for example. What I had learned about Facebook is that your content on Facebook can get more traffic if it's content that remains on Facebook. Meaning that if I go onto my Facebook page and I just post a YouTube link saying, go check out this video, well, that link causes you to leave the Facebook platform. And Facebook doesn't like that. Or at least from what I'm told, Facebook doesn't like that. So the idea of it being distributed for more views is less likely than if I were to just make a video that you actually watch on Facebook because it keeps you on the platform. So that's what I'm experimenting with. So I made that video of me breaking and running a 9-ball rack and breaking and running a 10-ball rack. No commentary, nothing, just a cue ball diagram. You don't even hear me talk. But then I put a comment saying, I'm giving this cue away. Go check out this video here. And that's a comment. So they get to stay on the platform to watch the video that I created. But if you want more information, then you have to leave the platform. Like I don't know if that helps or not, but that's what I'm as an IT guy, that's what I'm doing. I'm experimenting. Like, does this actually work? Or do I have to just, should I just make YouTube content and then just publish them out and then just share them out to other platforms? Right? So the idea was they watch this video, they see the link, they go, oh, he's giving this away, and I have to just click, let me go watch. Here's the product review, blah blah blah. Oh, if I just subscribe and do all this, like the whole point of those of me doing that video and then spreading it out is to try to drive views back into the actual product review, and it kind of worked. Like it got me like a couple, maybe I think 100 views maybe, but then of course it immediately dies after that. But the point, Scambodia, is you're asking about my next giveaway. That is my next giveaway because I want to get rid of that queue first before I do another one. Like I don't want to have like giveaway on top of giveaway on top of giveaway, just kind of like just floating all over my channel. Plus, I still have other things that I have to try to mingle in. Like it's been a long time since I've tried to teach anything on my channel. Like a 2-rail kicking system, 3-rail kicking system. Um, you know, what are the reasons why you try to draw the ball and you can't? Like there's still a bunch of other types of things that I can still teach, but I haven't bothered trying to create like a lesson video. Right now, a lot of my videos are currently swarmed with like, here's my APA match, and here's what I was thinking about, and here's what I was doing. I still have coaching lesson videos that are over a year old that me, Nate, and Demetrius are supposed to review. Because I'm not accepting any more videos of people to review because that is like the line to review videos gets too freaking long for me to even keep up, and then I'm not able to create anything else. So as time goes by, since I've been doing YouTube now for almost 2 years, like what do I do next? Like what's the next thing? What's the next idea after pool lessons, after APA matches, after playing the Ghost, after doing live streams? Well, I do product reviews now, right? Because everybody asks, what do I think about this cue? What do I think about that cue? What do I think about this tip? What do I think about this glove? What do I think about this rack? I'm like, I don't know. Do you like it? Like, that's all that really matters. Because if the equipment really mattered, then since like Shane Van Boning and Joshua Filla, I think like they're the number 1 and number 2 players in the world. I can't remember who's. I think Joshua Filler is actually number 1 in the world, and Shane Van Boning's number 2, or it's whatever, right? And I think Joshua Filla is a Predator player, and Shane Van Boning is a Q-Tech player. If those are the best players in the world, how come everybody's not using Predator, or how come everybody's not using Q-Tech, right? There are very, very a lot of their products are out there, but they're not the only one. Alucious Yap, I think, is I think he's a Mez player, right? And didn't he just won I think one of the opens, one of the Predator 10-ball opens or something. And so it's just like equipment doesn't freaking matter. Like it plays a small role in the ability for the player to be able to play well, right? You always say it's not the Indian, not the arrow, but you can also say, well, the bow does have an effect, kind of thing. So like it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same thing. Where are we at? So yeah, if y'all can help me give away this cue, because like why do I why do I want it to have 25,000 views? I think I already explained that before. Whoever wins this doesn't pay for the shipping. I do. And if I have to ship this queue overseas, it's not going to be cheap. Right? So I don't think it's asking too much to watch a 15-minute video so that way I can get a little bit of ad revenue that might help pay for the shipping costs. Like that's the reason why I do the view count stuff. Because if that's something that's going to prove to be not reliable, because the first product review video that I did, I asked for 30,000 views, and I don't think that video didn't make it when I was ready to give it away. And even to this day, it's currently sitting at 26,190. Right, so it didn't even reach 30,000. I still gave the queue away. So on this one, I already learned, well, 30,000's too high of a request, right? So it's like, well, let's try 25,000, right? Well, I haven't even broken 10,000 yet, right? I'm sitting at 7,805, right? And here, you want full disclosure? You want to know how much money I've currently made on that video? $88.09. That's what I've currently made on that video, which, if I remember correctly, that covers shipping in the United States with a small profit, with a relatively small profit. But I don't think that'll cover shipping overseas if the lucky winner happens to be overseas. So like if I end up taking a loss, right? You can obviously call me a nice guy, like, look, he's he didn't pay for the queue, but he paid for the shipping cost and took a loss to go along with it. But let's be realistic about this, right? I can't do that forever. Right? I can't continuously take loss after loss after loss on giveaways, right? Because then eventually, like, I'll have nothing to give away because I won't be able to afford anything. So it's like, NZ detecting discoveries. You agree about the equipment to a point. What point do you disagree with, right? Because what I'm saying is like a player that has a $100 queue that is on an APA scale, is a skill level 4, is not going to jump 2 levels because they buy a $1,000 queue. Like that's the stance that I'm basically making between the equipment. Right? Now, will they be able to hit a ball better because the shaft is made differently or because it has a different tip? I mean, yeah. Like that's how golf clubs work, right? Because you can buy a certain golf club, swing it, and you can drive 200 or 300 yards, but then there's another type of golf club that's made a certain way that allows you to swing it a little bit faster and gets you another 10 or 20 yards after, or whatever. Like you can make up whatever number that you want, right? So the equipment does play a small role. Like I'm not going to refute that, but I just think that it's not significant enough to say like I'm a better player because I have a $1,000 queue. Like that's not the stance that I'm trying to make on this is why you should spend $1,000 or $600 or $700 on a queue. Like you want a decent queue that has a straight shaft and a good tip. What the butt looks like is irrelevant other than to say, hey, look at me, right? I look good with the way that this queue looks. So, for example, right? You take this queue here, you wipe all this off, wipe all this stuff off, and it's just nothing but black, right? And put a wooden shaft on it or put a carbon fiber shaft on it, and you're gonna play to whatever skill level that you're gonna play to. Like, and that's it. Like that's pretty much my stance on it. So, if that's my stance, well, people are gonna say, well, then why do you have like $1,000 predator queue? Because I want to. Like that's literally my answer. I also have a Sean that's sitting in my garage that I've shot with for a long time. But I also started with a $50 Steve Miserak cue. Does anybody remember those when Walmart used to sell Steve Miserak cues? Or I used to own a $200 Mucci. Right? It's just like I have what I have because I want to have what I have, and that's really it. Not because it makes me a better player. Well, okay, so NZ Detecting Discoveries, you had a really cheap cube, but it doesn't play well. I'm not going to disagree with that. That's what I was saying. Like, cheap equipment or cheaper equipment will only allow you to do so much, right? And then better equipment will allow you to do a little bit more. But the difference between those two scenarios is is not really dependent upon the equipment. It's really dependent upon you. That's why I made the golf club analogy to where it's like you can have a certain golf club and swing it to where you can have like a 300 yard drive, but then another golf club that's aerodynamically made a little bit different. It's a little bit more expensive, but allows you to swing a little bit faster and get you an extra 20 or 30 yards, right? But prior to you getting that extra 20 or 30 yards, you were already driving 300 yards, right? So we're talking about the difference between will a cheap cue allow you to draw from a 9 foot draw the cue ball a full 9 foot length? I mean, for some people, yes, it will. For some, maybe not, right? Because people are different. People have different skill sets. People do things better than other people, right? The dividing factor is really not going to be the equipment, right? But will it help? I mean, sure. Like that's really what really where I think it boils down to. Right, a cheap cue with a garbage tip, right? That's your stance. I'm not going to disagree with that, but let's take a cheap cue and put a good tip on it. Let's take a cheap cue with a straight shaft with a good tip, but it's a cheap cue, right? All we're doing is changing one small component of the entire cue that's like worth $100, right? And there could be just a small difference in play. Right? And I actually do that. One of my old videos, I actually break and run 4 different 9 ball racks. One with a $20 cue that I got off of Amazon that I use as house cues. Another one with my Viking that's like six or $700. Another one with my Sean that I think is 12 or 1500, and then another one with my Predator that's like super super expensive. Right, and that's why I hate mentioning prices because I feel like some people are going to take like I'm flexing, like look at these cues that I can afford, and like that's not the case here. It's like I can afford these cues because I've worked hard in my life, and when I buy these things, it's because I can afford them. It's like and I never really like to talk about price because I just don't want people to take it that way because I know it can be taken that way. But I break and run 4 9 ball racks with cues that range from $20 all the way up to $1,000, right? And to show you like, and you hear me in that video, it's like it feels different. Like I have to make some compensations up for when I'm using a cheaper cue until I get up to the higher end cues, stuff like that. So like it is a thing, but I just don't think it's like it's that significant. But again, that's just my opinion. Let's see. Spartan138, you're saying, what are some tips for getting good drawback and spin on the shots? I can't seem to ever draw no matter how low I go, and I almost end up with a stun shot. You already answered your own question for me, because this is what I always say to say to people when they ask me that question. Um, you think you're hitting low enough, right? But what will never lie to you is what your cue ball does, right? So what I have to ask you is when you try to do these shots, these draw shots, how far away is the cue ball from the object ball? Because if the cue ball and the object ball are only like a foot and a half away at the foot end of the table, are you able to draw the cue ball back to the head of the table? If the answer is yes, cool. But if the cue ball is at the head end of the table and the object ball is at the foot end of the table, Are you able to launch the cue ball all the way down there, hit it with enough draw, and have it draw all the way back? And if the answer is no, because you said most of the time it ends up being a stun shot, meaning that the cue ball might stop or it might just dribble back, where there's only two things that allow that to happen. And the first and most obvious one is you didn't hit hard enough. That's always going to be the first. Or actually, I never like to use the word hard. I always like to use the word fast, because hard means power. And when it comes to your stroke arm, the only thing you can do is swing faster, right? Which means you can't generate any more power. The only way you can generate power is when you drop your elbow, because another muscle will get involved, or if you twist, or like, power equates to another muscle coming into whatever movement, because otherwise all you can do is just swing faster. So you're either not swinging fast enough or you're not hitting low enough, one or the other. Now, you're saying that you hit low enough, but are you really hitting low enough? Like, can you absolutely for certain say that you're hitting low enough? Because I would question, if you were to record yourself trying to hit that low, right? And let's say this is the cue ball, and you're trying to hit this low on the cue ball. If you record yourself, will you find that you're actually hitting the cue ball here because you're afraid of miscuing? That's always the biggest blocker that I've seen from players, that when they try to hit the cue ball this low, they're afraid of miscuing and scooping the cue ball off of the table. So they inadvertently come up a little higher, and they don't actually hit the cue ball low enough, right? If you can be honest with yourself and actually find that out, that's going to be the problem. You need to just get over the fact that you could possibly miscue, but you need to learn what the muscle memory feels like on how to hit that low, how to hit that straight, and not actually miscue. And then you'll actually get the effect that you're looking for. Like there's no ifs, ands, ors, or buts about it. Everybody in the world will tell me, I hit that low on the cue ball, but the cue ball just stopped. Well, if you can honestly tell me you hit that low on the cue ball, then you just didn't hit fast enough. Otherwise, I would really challenge you, like, did you hit that low, or did you come up at the last second and only hit this low? You might have hit hard enough, but you just didn't hit low enough. Like, find that out for me, and then we can see if there are other types of issues that your stroke might have in those cases there. Because I can almost guarantee you it's going to be either a combination of both of those things, or one of those things is going to be the problem. So that's an excellent question, and like I said, that's always the way that I like to explain to people, because anybody will sit there and say, like, I hit the cue ball in the center. Like, if you're doing the stroke test where you want to send the cue ball to one rail and have it come back and hit your tip, you'll have players that say, I hit the cue ball in the center, and I'm like, you do realize you cannot be hitting the cue ball in the center if the cue ball hits that rail and then goes off to one side. You either are not shooting straight, or you're not hitting the cue ball directly in the center. Like, the cue ball is not going to lie to you, right? So, like, those are the nitpick things that I would ask you to look into, and then maybe we can still try to figure out if there's anything more after that. All right, let's see what else. Now I'm starting to have fun. I almost don't want to end the stream. Yeah, I'm already 23 minutes over, because I said I was only going to stream for another 15 minutes after I was done ranting. But when people start asking me questions, I get excited, because I like giving out advice. Y'all know that. Jeremy Carrera, talk about aim composition when using side spin with a bridge length, not at the cue's natural picture point. So I think you're talking about, like, if you're a front hand English, like, you have to watch my side spin on the cue ball video, if you don't understand the terminology that I'm about to throw out here. If you're a front hand English user, meaning that you actually place your bridge hand off center from the cue ball when you're going to use left spin or right spin, Yeah, there's an aiming compensation that you have to do because the cue ball is going to squirt off into one direction. So if you put left spin on the cue ball will actually squirt off to the right a little bit. And if you use right spin on the cue ball will squirt off to the left a little bit. So if you feel that you're aiming exactly where you need to aim, but you're a front hand English user, well, and you don't compensate for that squirt or the cue ball deflection, well, that's what causes you to miss that shot. But if you're a backhand English player like myself, meaning that my bridge hand is always directly behind, not always, I shouldn't say always, but most of the time it's directly behind the center of the cue ball, and I move my grip hand, which means my cue will pivot. That's how I apply English. And I actually don't have to compensate for cue ball deflection as much. I demonstrate that all in my side spin video. Now, the question is well, what if your bridge length is over a foot long, or if your bridge length is only 2 inches long, or whatever? Does that pivoting have some sort of an effect? Everybody out there says yes, and I'm not going to say that they're wrong. What I am going to say, though, is that I personally have not experienced it, mainly because I don't experiment with bridge lengths. Right? I always try to be as consistent as I possibly can. So like the only reason I would ever have a bridge that's like a couple of inches in front of the cue ball is because I'm bridging over another ball. Right? Otherwise my bridge is typically going to be anywhere from 6 to 8 inches away from the cue ball. So which is what you would probably refer to as the natural pivot point. So I don't really have to worry about the pivot length of a bridge. Like, why am I going to have a bridge that's over 2 feet long? Now, I've had long bridges before, right? Because like if there is a ball in the way, but then I have to bridge with my bridge hand behind that imposing ball, and I can still apply some type of side spin or whatever. And so that would actually cause my bridge length to be a little bit over a foot. Like, there are times when that happens. I just don't always do it. It's just like rare occasions, because I play with enough consistency that I can't say for certain that, yeah, you should worry about this. But I would also counter with, well, why is your bridge length so inconsistent that on one shot it's this far away, and on another shot it's this far away, and on another, like, there should be some consistency there. And then once you're used to that consistency, then there's no more compensation. And then there's going to be the rare occasions that the bridge length will change. But you'll have enough of your own data to know, like, since I'm this far away, I need to compensate this much. But when I'm in my natural zone, I don't have to compensate for anything. So like, I hope that makes sense, right? Is there an effect? I'm sure there is, because I've read it, I've seen other people talk about it, but I personally have not experienced it. Because all I know is if my bridge is a certain length, I may or may not be putting side spin on the cue ball. If I'm bridging over a ball, I'm certainly not going to be putting side spin on the cue ball, because that means I'm going to be masseing the ball. And I don't want to do that, because if your cue is elevated and you put side spin, you're going to masse the cue ball. And if I'm just trying to bridge over a ball so I can shoot straight at another ball, I'm not going to be putting side spin. Otherwise, I have to compensate for the masse shot. Right? Like that's kind of how I look at it. Spartan138, you're saying that you also find it difficult to break harder because you can't seem to drop your elbow. I mean, don't. Right? You always have to be able to work with the tools that you have. Right? You can watch people all day long that Jeffrey DeLuna jumps 3 or 4 feet in the air. He drives his cue. You see him twist his wrist, drop his elbow, like he literally like curls himself up like this when he breaks so freaking hard and so freaking powerful too, right? And then you watch other people when they break, they just drop their elbow like this. Shane Van Boning, he's down nice and low, but he starts to stand up as he drops his elbow and straighten his cue out. Like, all these people that have all these different breaking mechanics work on these things in such a way to where their timing of all that bodily movement is done so well that they get that pure hit that they're looking at on the cue ball with as much power as they possibly can and with as much control as they can. Now, I'm actually working on something like that for my 10-ball break, where I'm trying to actually break with power. Right? You see that in my last playing the Ghost video where I did a race to 5 against the 10-ball Ghost. Like, I'm breaking pretty freaking hard, or at least for me.
I'm breaking pretty freaking hard in that video. But if you watch any of my APA matches, if you watch when I play the Ghost in 9-ball, when I'm playing 9-ball in general, you don't see me do any body movement at all, right? It's just all arm, and I'm able to generate more than enough power, and I have full control of my cue ball when I do that, which is the point of my long explanation. It's like work with what you have control of that cue ball, and just work on trying to swing as fast as you can without losing control before you attempt to drop your elbow, twist your hip, turn your feet, or whatever other bodily movement you want to do to try to get in that extra power, right? Because that extra power is not going to do you any good if you don't control the cue ball. I mean, who cares that you make on a 10-ball rack that you make 4 balls on the break when you don't even have an opening shot on the 1 ball or on the lowest numbered ball, right? There's got to be some form of control on the break, and power should not be the priority. Control should be the priority, and you kind of just put as much power into it as you can. That would be my advice on that. Let's see. Steve Cuff, you want to know what's the proper way to obtain a Fargo? Is there a particular process for that? You play in tournaments and leagues that report to Fargo. Like that's the only answer. And at some point in time, you'll develop a Fargo rating. Like Ron, the pool student that you see here, that says I think he's claiming that he breaks 21 miles an hour. When I was in Vegas, I actually broke on using their brake rack because they had like a breaking competition. The person that was winning the competition broke 26 miles per hour. Like that was what was written on the board. So I was like, I wonder how much I can break. And I think I have somewhere on one of my videos where I use the Predator Brake Speed app, and I think I broke over 20 miles an hour on that one. But when I was in Las Vegas and I did that brake rack thing, I topped out at 20.67 miles per hour, hitting the brake rack. Could I brake harder? I mean, I'm sure I possibly could, but I know for a fact that the harder that I brake, the more control I start to lose, and I don't ever really try to sacrifice control for power. I always want to have more control. Jeremy Carrera is saying, do you ever get on a table and feel as if you're new to the game, and how do you get into the groove when at APA? Uh, how do I answer that? I won't say new to the game, but let me use the Texas State Open for example. I have 2 videos that I posted from last year's Texas State Open, and one of the guys the first guy that I met in the Texas State Open had like a 700 plus Fargo rating, and I didn't even know that until after I was done, right? Because I don't want to use the idea of, oh my god, I'm playing a professional, so like I'm so super nervous that I'm quote unquote mentally defeated before I even start the match, right? I just want to go into the match, play to the best of my ability, and if I lose, it's just because I got outplayed. And stuff like that's going to happen. And I'm okay with that. Does it always work? No. If I'm playing in a open tournament, if I don't know you, there's that internal fear of, how good is this player? Like, am I going to be able, like, that's a natural thing to occur. But I acknowledge it really quick. And then of course I just try to play like but I certainly don't try to play reckless. I mean, I just try to play my game, and if I learn that my game wasn't good enough to defeat that player, that's when I start analyzing my game and trying to figure out what could I have done differently, where could, besides missing less, right? That's always going to be the number one answer. Well, miss less and you'll win more games, right? So besides missing less, what do I need to work on to be able to have a better game against this player? And I always preach that when you do stuff like that, for example, race to 5, for whatever reason, your opponent that you play on a consistent basis, you always lose 5-1, 5-2, whatever, for whatever reason. You try to study where your mistakes are, like I said, besides missing. Because what you want to happen is now you want to lose 5-3, 5-4, right? It's going to be a gradual thing. It's not going to flip all of a sudden, right? Because next thing you know, now you're winning 5-4. But after you've won, you're not done, right? Because Why did your opponent get 4 games? Those are the next things that you want to fix, because you want that opponent that used to beat you 5-2 and 5-1. You want to start beating that opponent 5-2, 5-1 on a consistent basis. But you're not going to flip roles like that in one day or one week or possibly a month. Like, it's a long going process of being able to learn where your weaknesses are and then put in the work to be able to fix those things. So, like, I hope that answers your question, Jeremy, because that's the best way I know how to approach it, to where it's like, how do you feel that you're new at the game? Well, your game should not be changing because of who your opponent is. It's just play your game, figure out if it works against this opponent, and if it works against this, or if it works against this opponent. Some people you'll be able to beat with your game, some people you won't be able to beat with your game. No matter which one it is, you always should be studying, why did you lose the racks that you lost, regardless of who your opponent is, and fix those mistakes every single solitary time. I hope that makes sense. 100% Bow Hunter, you have a good night, bud. Thanks for stopping by. Rise 888. You want to know what aiming system I used from the start? Ghost Ball. Like, I'm Ghost Ball with a hint of fractional aiming, meaning that I do use the sides of the cue ball now in reference to how it overlaps with the object ball, to see, am I doing a 3/4 ball hit, a half ball hit, a quarter ball hit, and stuff like that. But foundationally, it always begins with Ghost Ball. And I've had sitting in the back of my mind, like, as I have a Ghost Ball video already on my channel, but I have in my mind a video where I want to, like, break down my approach of what I'm, like, how I'm actively using the Ghost Ball besides what I presented that video. Jeremy, you're wanting to know if I use CTE at all anymore. I never did use CTE. The only reason why there's 2 CTE videos on my channel is because people asked me to explain it, which means I had to go study it for a little bit, and all the information out there that I saw was a little difficult to understand and really try to wrap my head around it. So I took a bunch of different resources, videos, articles, books, or whatever, got on the table and was like, this seems to make sense. It matches what this person says, or it matches what this person says, and blah 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 blah. And then from the way that I presented it, because I made 2 videos on it. I made one video that was very basic, that only showed a pivot in one direction, and that was it. Right? It didn't show you how to do side spin on it, because that was as much understanding as I possibly could, that I could possibly understand about it. People seemed to understand what I was doing in that video. They were able to replicate what I showed in that video, and they were like, this makes sense. Does that mean I got it right? No. I don't ever try to take that stance. But for whatever reason, people were doing things, and it was working for them too. So I know for a fact that there are people saying that I explained it wrong. Well, okay, fine. I explained it wrong. But then why does it work? And they're going to say, well, because of A, B, and C, and blah, 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 you're not realizing that you're doing this. Okay, fine. But then I studied it a little bit more, and I went more in depth on my second video. I started showing you inside pivots, outside pivots. I started showing how I was able to use side spin, how I was able to use top and bottom spin, and everything else, and got it to work. That video going more in depth also helped people understand it a little bit more. But I also know that people were saying, I still got it wrong. Well, okay, fine. But people were able to still figure it out. They were able to aim better. They were able to pocket balls more consistently. And so, like, if this stuff is working because of the way I broke it down, where exactly did I get it wrong? Like, that's all that I'm really looking for. And I even say in those videos that I'm not saying this is how to do it. I'm saying this is what I figured out, and this is what I was able to replicate on the table. So if you take the information at which I presented and you follow the steps at which I showed, do you get the same results? Yes or no? And if you do, cool. If you're able to use the information that I give and mix it in with the other information that you give or that you got, and you get a little bit closer to understanding it, well, then I've still done my job. Like, that was the whole purpose of me doing those CTE videos. I'm not an active CTE user. See, Craig, he says he uses CTE because I've made it understandable. right? Me making it, him saying that I made it understandable is me. I'm not going to say that I did it right just because I have someone that says I made it understandable. They're able to take what I did and make it work. That's all I need. That's all I wanted to do with that video, and that's that. NZ detecting discoveries. You're saying, when I practice, do I prefer running racks or do I do drills? What do you think is more beneficial? So I've done this rant before. I want to make sure that we understand the difference between a drill and the difference between what I call a challenge. So a drill to me is taking a single mechanic of the game and working on it over and over and over and over. That's considered a drill. When you see people posting videos of, here's a layout, run it out, but they're not using the same mechanic over and over and over, I don't consider that to be a drill. That's just me. That's just my opinion. I consider that to be a challenge. Now, can you take a challenge and turn it into a drill? Absolutely. Because in that challenge, if you shoot every shot the same exact way, nothing but center ball, nothing but bottom left, nothing but bottom right, because if you have to change whatever it is that you're doing in order to be able to complete the drill slash challenge, you're not drilling, in my opinion. That's, to me, that's no different than just throwing the balls on the table and just trying to run them out, right? Am I drilling or am I practicing, or what am I doing, right? So, do I prefer to run racks or do I do drills? I do both. I run racks because that's practice, right? I'm either going to shoot this ball with top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. I'm going to do a combo or do whatever. But occasionally I do drills as well, where I'm doing a single mechanic. I'm always doing one rail kicks, right? Because I want to test measuring my one rail kicks, or I'm always doing two rail kicks, or I'm always doing jump shots, or I'm always doing draw shots, or I'm just breaking over and over and over and over because I'm drilling my breaks. Like, those are the types of things that I'm working on, where I want to take a skill that I know that I'm lacking on, and I constantly work on it over and over and over and over. In other words, look at the way I break 9-ball. If y'all have seen any of my recent 9-ball breaking videos, when I'm using a template rack, I can tell you with a high predictability where all 9 balls will go on the table and satisfy the 3-point rule with the 1 ball on the spot. I have videos that prove it, and I've done it on live streams as well. That's what I find the benefit of drilling does for you. And of course, practicing running a challenge or running a difficult layout or performing a layout under certain conditions. Like, I have on my channel the Nick Varner 9-ball drill, right? And it's a layout. Is it a drill? Yes and no, right? The first 4 shots are bottom outside spin, so that way you can pull the cue ball back to the center of the table, because you're moving the cue ball from one side of the table to the other side of the table. And then your last 4 shots, you're moving the cue ball from one end of the table to the other end of the table, and you try to use the same mechanic over and over under each of those conditions, right? By that definition, I would call that a drill. But the moment I take one of those shots from that Nick Varner 9-ball drill layout, and I shoot the ball a different way, now I'm just running a rack, right? It's just not the same to me. And so, like, that's the difference there. So if you're gonna drill on something, just make sure that it's a single mechanic. Bunch of draw shots, drawing the cue ball. The cue ball and the object ball are 3 feet away. You're drilling, drawing the cue ball 1 foot away, drawing the cue ball 2 feet away, drawing the cue ball back to where you started, drawing the full length of the table. Like, that's a drill, and that's something that you should practice on top of just running racks, running the table. Exactly, Joe Mazza. You basically play against the ghost when you do runouts. Exactly. But is that a drill? Or is that practicing, or whatever? It's like, anybody that knows me knows that I'm really keen on words. Like, words have very powerful meanings, and I try to make sure that the words that I use actually refer to whatever it is that I'm talking about. Matt303, you want to know what type of tip that I use? So I currently shoot with a Predator Revo 12.5 on my Predator Black 45Q. That came with a Predator Victory soft tip. And so before that, on my Viking, I used to shoot with the Kamui Clear medium. And then before that, on my Sean, whatever comes on the Sean cues, they have their own proprietary tip. So before I got the Revo, I always shot with medium tips. Now that I got that soft tip on there, I actually love soft tips more than I do medium tips. Now, does that mean I'm always going to stick with Predator Victory? No. I might try a different type of soft tip, but I don't know if I would ever go back to medium or let alone a hard tip. Maybe eventually I might even try super soft, but I'm not sure. But since I've gone from medium to soft, I actually prefer softer tips now over medium tips. And you actually hear me say stuff like that in my product review videos because the J-Flower cues, they come with Mori mediums. And Mori mediums are great tips. I've hit with them before, but because I'm so used to using the soft tip now, I just prefer it over a Mori medium. Let's see here. What else? It looks like that's about it. I can sit here and just wait for questions all day long and then just continuing answering, but I need to go enjoy the rest of my evening and actually start enjoying my weekend. Rise 888, does J-Flower offer their cues with soft tips? Currently, no. But I do believe they will start eventually. The whole point of J-Flower is a company that's in China, and they're trying to come into the U.S. market. And so they've reached out to me, and they've reached out to a bunch of other people. Again, I don't know if they've paid those other people or not, nor do I care. They've reached out to me and they asked me, would I be willing to review their products? And I said, sure. Because, and like, do they have to pay me? No. I was like, I'm gonna get paid from my YouTube videos because I'm making YouTube videos about them, right? So like, I wouldn't review. I would hope that y'all would know that I would not review something if I and just BS you about it if I actually thought it was bad, right? Because everybody wants to know like how does it compare to this, how does it compare to that, and that's not what I'm trying to do. All I'm trying to do is just give you the details about the product, shoot with the product so you can see how it's used, and of course a good player, quote unquote good player, can make any cue look great and wonderful, but at least you have enough information about the cue that hopefully you can make an informed decision on whether or not if you want to buy it yourself. Like that's the whole purpose. But because of my reviews, I have heard, I don't know if it's gospel, I don't know if it's going to be true, like currently, they offer 12.5 millimeter shafts. I did hear, because they know that I like to use 12.9, that they're going to at least maybe offer 13 millimeters in the future. I did hear that they're possibly going to start offering different types of tips, but I don't know that for certain, and I'm not going to say it for certain. But because of the reviews that people are doing, they're doing a smart business thing and taking in the feedback that they're getting from these reviews and trying to build better business models about it and start to offer more options. Right? That's what a smart business does. Right? So will it happen? I don't know. I've heard that they're probably going to try it. But and when they do, I'll probably let everybody know about it. And that'll be that. Let's see. Cue ball control sometimes. You have yourself a good night. Ron, the pool student, that's my buddy, man. You have yourself a good night, man. Thanks for being here. John, dude, you want to know how would I rank cues from best to worst? I'm not going to do that. And that's from the stance that I take that every cue is different for every single person, right? And I don't ever want to be in the position to where I tell you something is great and wonderful and you try it out and you think it's garbage and you go, it's all Chris's fault because he said it was great and wonderful, blah 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 blah. Right? That's why I don't ever take those stances. You either get what you want to get and hold yourself accountable that you got it and you don't like it. And that's that, right? Because we're literally talking the difference between someone praising a Ford Mustang versus a Chevy Camaro, right? There are people that love the Ford Mustang, there are people that love the Chevy Camaro, and they hate the other, right? There are people like myself that love Predator cues, and there are people that can't stand Predator cues. There are people that love players cues, and there are people that can't stand players cues. That's just a fact of reality. And so if I tell you that something is good, I honestly think it is. Is it something that I'm willing to use? Well, currently, I don't have to. If I want to, I will. That's why I've switched from Sean to Viking to Predator. Does that mean that Predator beats my Sean and my Viking? No, because I still have them. I never got rid of them. Like it's a hard position. It's a hard position to be in if you actually want to take stances and make claims of what's better than other people. Do it though, right? And I don't fault people for doing that. It's just something I'm not going to do. I'll give you a story. Um, Story time. I was at work and I was talking to a buddy of mine. I'm sitting like at his desk. He's over here, right, and I'm on the other side of his little cubicle wall. And he's asking me, "Hey, come check out this car that I want to buy and tell me what you think." And I told him, I was like, "You don't want to buy it." And he's like, "What do you mean? You haven't even looked at it yet?" And my response to that was, you're wanting to know if I'm going to come around there and look at it and tell you, like, oh man, this is an amazing car, blah, blah, blah. And if I give you that response, that's going to justify to you whether or not if you want to buy it. Or what might actually happen is I'm going to tell you how crappy that car looks and look at this defect or look at this defect according to the Carfax and everything else, and then you're not going to buy it. So you're possibly using me as a justification as to why you're going to buy it or not buy it. And he actually looked at me and went, touche. Like, because that's exactly what was going to happen. So actually, the next time that same exact scenario actually occurred, his opening statement was, "I already know what I'm going to do with this. I just want to know what your thoughts are about it." Like that changes the entire scenario when it's presented that way. But when you want to ask me like what's better over this or that the other, like those are stances that I'm just not going to take. I like what I like because I like what I like. You might not like them, and I might not like what you like, and that's supposed to be okay. Like that's why I take the positions that I take. Hey, NZ, Detective Discoveries, thanks for stopping by. Like I said, I know I need to eventually try to do another lesson video, and the one that I have cooking in the back of my mind is two rail kicks using two rail kicking systems that I use. I mean they're well known. I just have to figure out a way. Is there a way for me to present them that's different than the way other people have presented them, so that way I stand out. It's like there are ghost ball videos out there, but my ghost ball video did well. There are banking videos out there. My banking videos did well. I'm teaching stuff that's already out there. I just try to teach it a little bit differently, break it down a little bit differently, use different words, use different camera angles, or whatever I can possibly do that hopefully relays the information better that allows you to pick it up. And I need to eventually do that. And that's of course when I have time to do that. That's always going to be my biggest obstacle is time, which I think everybody can appreciate. Let's see. I see one last question, and then I'm probably going to call it a night. And that's from Jeremy Carrera. Any advice on head position and sighting? Well, um, I always tell people, how do you aim a gun? Right? You look down the barrel of the gun, and that's with both eyes. But depending upon whether or not if you're left eye dominant or if you're right eye dominant, one eye is going to do more processing than the other. But the other eye helps you see the depth perception of how far away an object is going to be. Um, Now there are people that are exceptions. Like I think Neil's fine, for example. I think he's blind or partially blind in his left eye. That's why you see his Q all the way over on the right side of his face, right? But not everybody can do that. Primarily because not everybody's right eye dominant either, for whatever reason, right? So simply put, when you have the Q somewhere near the center of your chin, and it'll most likely be on one side of your chin or the other, depending upon what your eye dominance is. But you definitely want to be able to, if you're able to, use both of your eyes to be able to aim. Now, again, some people can't see good out of one eye or the other. So, like, those are people that are going to have some exceptions that they have to deal with, but they still have to figure out how to compensate not being able to use one eye better over the other. But being somewhere near the center of your chin, favoring your dominant eye, um, to me is always going to be best because it allows you to process whatever it is you're seeing more accurately in order to be able to shoot with better accuracy. Giovanni D'Angelo, I really like your question. Say you're the top player at a pool hall. How would you approach other top players at other pool halls to help you? If you're willing to do that, just go up to them and do it. Like that's all that really matters. Like we're when I read your question the way I read it, it's one of those like there's an ego issue or there's a pride issue of asking for help. It's like no, like I have a 642 Fargo rating. Right? Does that mean I'm going to be intimidated when I want to go ask a 700 plus Fargo rated player to give me some advice on something? No. If I want advice, I'm going to ask for advice. And it doesn't always have to be from a higher ranking player, right? We can say with some assertiveness that typically when you want to get better, you look at higher ranking players to be able to drop the knowledge on them. But, again, uh, with me being a 642, is my information any worse than if a 700 Fargo rated player gives you? Like, why go through me when you can just go above me and get information from somebody else? Right? So that's why I say it doesn't always have to be from a better ranking player, because sometimes people know what they know, but they can't execute what they know. Like those are usually referred to as coaches, right? Like there can be people that know the game and can know how to teach the game, but they can't really execute what they teach, right? That like I said, that's what's called coaches and stuff. And like you said, it's more nerves than anything else, right? And you're saying ego is there. So like I kind of figure that's where that question is coming from. If you're lacking in something and you want to be able to get better at it, then you just have to go ask. And it's like there shouldn't be anything wrong with asking somebody. Unless of course you're that person that boasts around like, I'm the hot stuff. I'm the greatest player in the world, but then it's like, "Oh crap, I got to go ask somebody to show me how to do something." Like no, like if you're a humble person and you know you're at where you're at and you know that you need to ask somebody that you deem better than you to help you with something, you just go up and freaking ask them. They're either going to tell you yes or no. Like, and if they tell you no, okay, so what? Go look for it from somebody else. Oh my gosh. You know what? Like I said, I still can't believe that there are 60 plus people in here just conversating, asking me questions and stuff like that. It's so amazing. And I'm not even shooting. I'm not even hitting a ball, right? I'm just sitting here talking. Like for the first hour I was just hooting, hollering and ranting and raving over some freaking nonsense that I actually shouldn't have been hooting and hollering about. But I do feel better about it. Now that I've gotten it off my chest. And then of course, just seeing just seeing how everybody wants to ask questions, and you're listening to my answers and you're like, "Holy crap, that's a great answer," and stuff like that's why I do this stuff. Like it's so fulfilling to me. It's very satisfying. It's and it's something that I honestly didn't know how I was going to react to. Like when I was in Vegas, and a lot of people would come up to me, "Are you low, Chris?" and stuff, and I would either get fanboyed or fangirled, because I'm hearing about like how my videos have helped people so much that they've increased like 2 levels on the APA scale, or they're able to do something better because of the way that I've done something, or whatever else. Like it's so freaking amazing that I've been able to have that type of impact on people. And Jack Pena, that's another local buddy of mine. Yeah, it's all good, man. Like I said earlier, I was just ranting and raving. I might leave the live stream up for people to watch, but I basically got called a liar on Reddit, and for some particular reason, it just rubbed me the wrong way, and I came on live stream to just rant and rave about it. And I feel better about it now that I've done it. And then, like I said, just by happen to chance that I'm also just talking to everybody, answering questions, and we're all having a good time and stuff. And like I said, I don't even have to hit a ball. I can just sit. I can just come into my office, turn on the camera, and be like, "Hey, everybody, listen to this. What do you think of this?" and it's just amazing. MDU, this is the first time you're catching me on a live stream, and I'm not even shooting a ball, but I am grateful that you're here. And it's been a long time since I actually did. I think my last live stream was what? My last live stream was when I picked the winner of the last J Flower queue. I think. Let me look. Yeah, that was the last time I did a live stream. Was when I picked the winner of the last J Flower Q that I gave away. So I need to, like I said, my time is so limited. I need to work in doing some more live streams of whether or not if I'm shooting. I was using live streams at one point to review my APA matches, so that way I don't have to do post production on them. It was much quicker to review APA matches live. With everybody, so I can hear other people's suggestions as well as giving my own commentary and suggestions. So I need to eventually get back into the swing of things, but that's all dependent upon if my work will die down and and give me the time to be able to do it. Because all I can do is what I can do, and as long as everybody is still appreciating and benefiting from it, then I'm doing the same thing, which is just amazing. But folks, I'm gonna go ahead and call it from here. Yeah, I've reached the 2 hour mark, so a good hour or so of me ranting and raving, and then what I would hope to be a good hour of asking or answering everybody's questions, giving my feedback on certain things, has been productive for everybody. So at the very least, I want to say thanks to everybody for listening to me hoot and hollering, and I can always hope that everybody appreciates what I do, that they obviously continue to learn, and that you're entertained by some of the stuff that I do as well. But I'm going to go ahead and call it a night from here. I think the next video that I'm going to try to publish is either going to, well, it might be another live stream. It might be another live stream to where I can review like more of my matches. Either I like I said, I have Texas State Open matches that I can review. I have my Vegas mini matches that I did, my APA mini matches that I did when I was in Vegas, and I have more APA matches that I can review. So I need to decide which one do I want to do. The Texas State Open stuff is the oldest, so I can probably start with that, and then I still have like coaching videos that me, Nate, and Demetrius need to do. So it's gonna be one of those. Hopefully, I mean, I might be able to do something this weekend, but we'll see. We'll see what we can do. But I'm gonna go ahead and bow out here for the night. Hold on a second. What is this? Chris N, you're asking, what do you think for me to look into because I'm dumbfounded when it comes to looking at the names of tips? That's an equipment question, right? So if you followed me long enough, you'll know that when it comes to equipment, it's personal preference, right? I can tell you what I like. You might go and try it and you might not like it, right? So like you just you can take other people's input on it. Like people can tell you how great and wonderful like maybe Kamui tips are. People can tell you how great and wonderful how tips are, or Mori's, or navigators, or like just whatever, right? But you're gonna eventually pick one and you're gonna go, I like it or I don't like it, right? So you kind of just have to just take the accountability of if you bought a $30 tip and you don't like it, well then you just got to go try another tip. But that doesn't mean that you have to go buy another $30 tip. Like you can try a $10 tip or a $5 tip or a dollar tip. Like it's all really going to depend on you. And I don't really think that one person should really, or multiple people should really influence you on what it is that you want to own or what it is that you want to use. So I hope that makes sense. But that's the last question that I'm going to answer. So, like I said, I'm going to bow out from here. So, once again, thanks everybody for being here, and I hope you all have a good night. Take care. Care.